Let's talk about 6 hidden messages in Andor Episode 2. They're all based on visual and verbal cues, such as sparks, circular versus angular design, orchestras, metal, blue versus red, and the phrase, "If you can't find it here, it's not worth finding." Andor, on the surface, is a very entertaining show to watch. However, what if I told you there's a hidden world of meaning in this series the filmmakers carefully crafted for those willing to find it? We'll get into that hidden world today. Without further ado, let's showcase 6 hidden messages in Andor Episode 2. Sparks. At the start of the episode, Andor takes a stroll down Main Street and is framed behind a bunch of sparks from somebody cutting something. The last shot of the episode shows the same thing. Andor walking down the street as someone cuts a piece of metal, with sparks flying everywhere. Last episode we established that the filmmakers of Andor dressed the residents of Ferrix in oranges, reds, and yellows to possibly show that they're the first ember of the rebellion. You can watch that episode via the link in the top right. And here we get more visual proof that the filmmakers thought about and put this visual motif in here for a reason. They're either trying to say that Cassian is the spark that lights the fire of the rebellion, or what he's doing is the spark that will light that fire. Either way, this fire motif continues to pervade the mise-en-scène of the show. Circular versus angular design. One thing that struck me watching episode 2 of Andor was the architectural differences between Priox Morlana and Ferrix. Ferrix, as we see in this episode, has more circular round designs featuring arches, both in residential houses and commercial buildings. Remember the big door all the workers walk through in episode 1? It's a circle. You can contrast this roundness to the angular, pointed designs of Priox ships and office spaces. When Cyril Karn gives his speech on their transport ship, you can see 3 hexagonal doors behind the troops. Earlier in this episode, we see one of Andor's friends clutching some Empire coins. They're also hexagonal. It makes sense. The insignia of the Empire features a 6-sided gear-like logo. Apparently Palpatine chose this design, and it's meant to resemble the sun with rays. For me though, its angular pointed design reflects the rigid nature of the Empire's rule, and Ferrix's round architectural designs are in direct contrast to this idea. Also, arches are the strongest structural shape known to mankind. Perhaps this is also showing the strength of the people on Ferrix. The orchestra. We start episode 2 watching a dude bang on a metal drum with 2 metal mallets. It's awesome. Last episode I posited that we could hear the sound of metal tools clanking together in Ferrix's musical score. Now I realize it was just this big thing here. Speaking of scores, there's an audio Easter egg in Andor that my friend Steve told me about. He said that all the intro sequences to Andor sound different, and when you combine them all together, they create a beautiful song. I say all this because at the end of episode 2, Cassian walks towards the camera as a sick drum solo plays in the background. It seems music is starting to become a bit of a theme in this show. It makes sense. A proper rebellion is a symphony of moving parts working together to achieve a greater goal. I think on its face, though, the metal clanging is just another opportunity to show how strong the people of Ferrix really are. Speaking of that, metal. Kenari is Cassian's home planet, and I wonder whether the mines and mining for metal on Kenari are in any way related to our drum-banging friend at the start of the episode. It seems the people of Ferrix are always working on metal machinery to either strip it down for parts or fix it in some way, and in the first episode, Cassian pulls a piece of metal out of B2 before saying goodbye. I really don't know if this is a theme yet. I will say another way you can interpret the clothing of folks on Ferrix is through the lens of earthy colors. There's a good bit of green mixed in with the yellows, oranges, and reds. colors you might find as you dig deeper into the Earth's surface. It's too early to tell, but consider this theme earmarked as we head into future episodes. Blue and red. In the last episode, we established that blue was associated with Preox Morlana, and red, orange, and yellow was associated with Ferrix in Andor. That color scheme continues in episode 2. For example, when Bix's boyfriend decides to snitch on Cassian, he walks towards a payphone establishment to relay a message to Primor. The lights on the inside are blue, representing him getting closer to and aiding the bad guys. And when Cassian first finds out Primor is after him in his mother's house, a cold blue color shines on his face, as if he's now aware that the bad guys are a real threat. The blue color scheme continues at night in Primor headquarters, where they work around the clock to find Cassian. And, as established, red, orange, and yellow are still strong color schemes on Ferrix in nearly every scene. We can go ahead and punch this design decision in as intentional by the filmmakers. Let's watch how they continue to play with it in future episodes. If you can't find it here, it's not worth finding. Finally, we have this famous quote from our propulsion-obsessed friend in Luthen's transport vehicle.
You know what they say?
What was that?
If you can't find it here, it's not worth finding.
What a brilliant quote with a lot of different meanings. Of course, our guy is talking about items like parts, droids, or pieces of machinery, and after he says it, we focus in on Cassian walking down the street like a badass. Clearly, the hidden meaning here is that Cassian himself is the thing worth finding for Luthen, but there's yet another hidden meaning here nobody talks about, the fact that the same is true for ideas, values, and a way of life. Obviously, Luthen is out to stoke a rebellion. He needs people like Cassian to do this, but rebellions are built around ideas as much as they're built around people. The people of Ferrix value hard work, dignity, mutual respect, and taking care of one another with kindness. They also have a couple rebels in their midst who would love to see the galaxy rid of the evil Empire. There's also, weirdly enough, no presence of the Empire on Ferrix. What do the words of this wise man imply now? You can't find the Empire on Ferrix, and if they're not here, it's not worth finding. Or in other words, the Empire and its ideas and values aren't worth fighting for or finding. I love the hidden implication of this wise man's words, the implication that everything Luthen needs is right here on Ferrix, whether that's tools, people, values, or ideas, and that if they're there, they're worth finding. We close on Cassian walking towards the camera like a badass, sparks flying everywhere, unconscious to the adventure that awaits him ahead. Hey everyone, I'll be breaking down every episode of Andor moving forward, so consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel to get more entries in this series if you liked it. Let me know down below if you saw anything in episode 1 or 2 of Andor that I missed. I would love to hear from you. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.